Welcome, everyone, to the Talk Tactically to Me United podcast. My name is Andy, and on the opposite side of the screen is Ali. Today, we will break down Manchester United's tactics in their 3-0 loss to Pep is a bald fraud Man City. In addition, we will go through and discuss Pep versus Ruben's play from the back, look ahead. Will Ruben make tactical changes with personnel against Chelsea? And if you're new to the channel and like our content, smash a like on the video, comment below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And with that being said, how are you doing, Ali, on this Monday, September 15th, the day
I'm good.
after the Derby loss?
Yeah, yeah, the memes are flooding in, the I'm getting what's it 004 about Sesko. I'm getting some or double O whatever it is. I'm getting things about that, particularly from Arsenal fans because they got Gyökeres, who's he's doing all right at Arsenal, I guess. Um, but it's a lot of different mixed feelings, I think, about where United are right now. Oh yeah, just like mixed feelings about this one, man. How are you feeling?
Uh, as former NYCFC supporter, have a lot of Man City plastic fans. So, it's kind of hard with living up to the banter. Everyone, I had the running joke about Pep is a bald fraud for many years now. So my Man City friends always look forward to it after anything. So yesterday's, status was Pep is a bald fraud for focusing on Luke Shaw to win over United. Like I felt like for the first, 10, 15 minutes, it was like, okay, we got long ball FC, you know, we're pressing right, you know, inverting the center backs where Delict comes into the middle and passes out. We're doing it. We're, you know, going after second balls. We're getting our heading. Like we felt like, we're going to dominate the ball. And then, slowly but surely broke down where it's like, I thought when it was halftime, I was like, that's a fair scoreline, 1-0. City didn't show anything that was spectacular. They didn't look like they were going to play with intent and finish us off. They don't know what they're doing. Like I've said to City fans, like the other Pep, aka Liverpool's plant in Man City, because Pep got a new assistant coach. It's
Yeah.
Klopp's assistant coach back when Liverpool was winning. You know, he's trying to make Man City press and play like Liverpool did under Klopp, and the team looks very disjointed. And I felt like we had chances to exploit them because I felt like we're better on the ball, second chances, second balls, we're hustling everything. And then individual mistakes, whether if it's, on the system, because that's what's on today's all throughout social media is about the system. Is Ruben the right person? But then I feel like individual mistakes, and we've talked about this on the podcast, you know, before international break, is that there's some individuals that Ruben picks that should not be playing on this team. They've had their fair chances, and it's like literally is the game plan is draw out the lit from the center defense and then find the gaps where Luke Shaw is and attack, and you'll get your goal. And I mean, that's how I felt. What,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I guess the game, I actually watched the game with two American City fans because I don't know any English City fans. I don't actually know any. Soccer's kind of booming in New York City, so it's a couple of my mates. And they're no ball, so yeah, it was definitely an interesting game. I think first half I thought yeah, City were better. Yeah, they weren't amazing, but you don't have to be amazing against Manchester United. You know, such a fragile team. It's like a joke. There's no mentality monsters in there. Sure, Jorah is becoming like Onana for me. Like I'm done with him. You know, and I guess the difference between the second half is that I felt like City just was like letting us play. They were sat back, um, and they're very effective on the counter. I thought we're actually all right progressing the ball. We're not bad progressing the ball. We just that final third is there's just no link up, chemistry, conviction. It's just nothing there in that final third. And I think defensively, we just have the wrong players in these positions. Sure, he's a left back playing left centre back. You're gonna get exposed by the, best players City have. Dorgu's shimmy that's a career ending, move. And then Bruno again, again, Bruno is a great distributor. We have control when he plays, but defensively, he's not an eight. He doesn't know how to smell danger, and especially in the box, and he's getting exposed. Shaw's getting exposed. I don't know what's wrong with Ugarte. Like, this system. What I'm thinking now is Ugarte is better, or he's used to playing with another natural number eight, and Bruno isn't that, so that's why he's getting caught out as well. Um, yeah, I think those are the key issues that are happening right now. So it's just like the personnel is wrong in those positions, but it's down to the manager to solve that, and he's not really doing that, is he? He's just like, I'm just gonna play these players in these positions. Yeah, and that's what he's doing.
Yeah, no, I agree because there's one thing that I saw too in the first half when we were defending on the ball, we were in a 5-4-1. Essentially, one of the tens were coming in to making it a four. And I felt like that was progressive in terms of the defensive shape. But then as the game progressed and we were chasing, it became the 5-2-3 that we've seen, all the time where it's just Gigante and Bruno getting exposed left and right. And then was the third goal where, you know, um Gigante had the ball, does not do a good pass, gives it to Luke Shaw, and they both miffed it, and then Holland's on his side of the pitch, and it's a two-man race against Maguire's not going to catch him,
No,
and I forgot the other I forgot who was else was there trying to chase back. Oh, Delit was like a little bit further behind, but it was like you can't catch up to that, especially when he had like a 5-10 yard head start. It's like you can't do that, and it's like those individual mistakes are getting to the team where it just kills the progression. And it was like one other play where, or I think it was like the second half around the 70th minute, Ugarte is doing the progression, what we saw and know he can do. He's taking the ball from the halfway line, progressing it to the top of the box, right? And he has open play, and he goes and passes it to Bruno in a congested area where Ahmad was open way on the right that you could hit a nice pass. He goes into the box and makes something. I feel like these brain farts, I don't know what you want to call it, brain fog, or not thinking through the play is hurting us. And one of the things that I thought, where I'm going to still stand, we're going to win the league because of one game a week, right? But I feel like, for the past couple of years, I hate these games after the international break because we don't get into a rhythm, or we got into a rhythm, come back from international break and don't know how to play. And then it takes us like 1 or 2 games post international break to get that rhythm. And then it goes back again. So it's like these big games after international break is not helpful for us. And I feel like that's the MO for Manchester United over the years. And I feel like I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like going back to the point of like 1 game a week, it's like Ruben should be sitting down with the players and being like, when you're in this position, you have A, B, and C, right? Do C. If Ahmad is C, do C. If you're in this position, again, choose this pass. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, I feel like these players are they make too much money and are international stars. Like, they play for the national team to be this dumb and to play of like, we have to spell out of like, this is your position, this is where you're man marking, or this is what you're doing in these situations. I want you to do 1, 2, and 3. Like, I feel like, are we going to get to that point with this team, with these players actually?
Yeah, yeah. I think coming into the game, like I wasn't nervous. I wasn't like scared of Man City because Man City are a gettable team. And you can see that in that first half. The decision making and the quality of the passing in that final third or that long pass, we really missed that today. Like, and yeah, they make a lot of money and all this. It's hard, man. It's hard when you're in that position. You literally have like seconds to hit a pass, make a decision. That's why like De Bruyne, like he made it look so easy, and he wouldn't even like he'd play it like in behind players as well, right? It's a really hard skill to do in football. And there's just been a couple of occasions when like Bruno, Ahmad, Garte, when they would play a ball, like it's you got to be on side. There's so many different factors, and that's how you get our cities like in the counter. And I'm just wondering, I'm looking at like Brighton. Brighton managed to do it, you know. Tottenham managed to do it. So now it's just like, are we lacking that quality? Do we not have players like that? We were supposed to address those. I know Cunha and Mount were out. Obviously, we missed them massively. Ahmad starting that left, whatever position, like, ugh, it's a bit, you know.
I was going to make that point too. It's a good thing you brought it up. I feel like that game yesterday showed why we missed out on Mount and Cunha. I feel like, the pressing for Mount, because it's like you can press. Pep former teams were press resistant, right? I feel like this Pep team is not press resistant. You can press them and they can turn it over. Also, too, when we get down to the later segments with regards to inverting the center backs and stuff from both City and stuff, it's the goals against Tottenham were from the press. Like Trafford made bad passes, but then Tottenham pressed the center backs and the defensive midfielder to cause turnovers and score the goal. Like, this is not a press resistant team. And if you hadn't Mount and had Cunha to progress the ball from the halfway line to the top third, we may have scored. We also had good chances. Let's be real. Gigi made a hell of a world class save on Brian Bueno. That was going to go in 9 out of 10 times. That was going to go in. That was just that one time. And it shows in terms of the quality. United gets, let's give City some not slack, but they should be called out for this. They spent 40 million on Trafford. He had 3 games. He failed those 3 games, and they went out and go spend another 25, 35 mil for Gigi. And then he's making like 450, 500 before taxes. So this whole notion of Manchester United fans of saying that, oh, he is only making 250,000 a week. We should have gotten him. It's like, no, that's after taxes. His wage is much higher. Like, we already have a new wage structure that's not going to work and fly. City can afford it. Good for them. It does show the difference in quality of, City being ruthless and getting the players versus us, because we had the opportunity to get Martinez. We went for Lemens. We'll see how that plays out. But let's not take United as being reckless with money because City has shown us to be reckless with money. But because they win, they get a pass. And I'm tired of that talking point. I'm tired of all that nonsense with, and especially Barcelona. Barcelona is in freaking debt more than United tenfold. But because they quote unquote win in La Liga and couple Copa del Reyes, they get a pass. So it's like, chill out. We are trying to do our best here.
Yeah. I mean, with Trafford, I don't think he's a young English keeper. Like they bought him for 35 mil. They'll sell him for 35 mil. I don't think that was a
Right.
bad decision in that era. I feel bad for him personally because he needs game time. But if I was C, I'd do the same thing. Like Edison, I really enjoyed him as a keeper. I thought he was a good keeper, but like there was something just like a switch off with him, and then you go buy Donnarumma, who's if they get into any penalty shootouts, they're winning those penalty shootouts. He is the best like penalty stopper of all time. I'm gonna
Right.
give him that. Um, so yeah, I don't, you know, their decisions kind of make sense. What I will say, Rodri had a bad first half. Like it was bad, and we couldn't capitalize. Like we had a couple of chances, you know, but like Roger, and you could tell like when he got subbed off, like yo, bro, he was out of gas. Like their main midfielder was playing really badly in that first half, and we're still losing. Like yeah, man, it's difference in quality, man.
But see, that's the thing, though. That's why it's like I don't feel like it's doom and gloom with this team compared to like what's on social media and stuff. It's like, guys, Ruben's not going to change the format. It's 3-4-3, right? The players have to play. That's it. And I felt like, you know, almost all of our goals have been like individual mistakes. Maybe one goal has been fair, clean, or two goals. But I feel like we're not totally off in terms of what we're doing in the back and how we're playing. I feel like, yes, when you have three new strikers or three new attacking players, it's going to be hard for the chemistry, especially integrating into the team. This is not preseason where I think you and I were gaslit in preseason in terms of like the movement, the play, the pressing. Well, actually, I take that back. I do see the pressing. I do see the structure and the play out from the back from preseason. It's not translating right now because, it's preseason versus like the actual regular season. And I feel like, we just need to find that rhythm. And like I said, the stop and go with international break is not going to help us right now. It will help us in the long run once we start playing every, once a week. And then once the festive season comes around, every couple of days, every 3, 4 days, we'll get into that rhythm, which I think will be beneficial. But back to the point where, we're not playing bad. And I hate to say this too. When we go over to the stats, it's like I've seen a lot of hot takes of like we should get Areola as our coach because he's proven Premier League talent and he presses and does everything the right way of how the modern game should play. But the stats say United's not that far back from a Bournemouth team. It's that lack of quality at the top is showing. I don't know what to say or to do with that. I can't physically see the team working. I can't find the solution for it because we know from how Ruben wants to play. He wants to use his wing backs to attack and just have the two tens, feed balls in to the striker or do the crosses, etc. And I feel like we're not the quality isn't there in terms of the crosses and in the play in the box. And then Sesko, does the flick with his head. They're doing most of the plays from Man City was just like long balls from Bayern to Sesko. Sesko's flicking it on. In the first couple of minutes, like the first 15 minutes, some of those flicks were landing to a Man City player, but we pressed and we got the ball back. But then as the game progressed, those flicks weren't working, etc. And then, the whole idea of like four versus three, where Man City had four players against us three in the triangles and literally did a low block and stopped the gaps once they were up 2-0. So I feel like those things need to be worked out. And other than personnel or so, I think the system is, I'm not saying the system is right, but I feel like the system is creating enough chances. It's just the finishing is not there and some bonehead decisions amongst the players. But let me, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think yeah, it's that goes back that final third, I think yeah, quality chemistry is missing. I'm trying to think. Looking at Sesko, like the amount of crosses we crossed in that game, it was a lot, right? Especially in that second half, and the qualities just wasn't there. I didn't really see anything from Sesko in the second half. What I think our strength is in the wing backs and Mbumo making these triangles on the side and then getting in behind. We are really good at that. And that's a way of progressing the ball, even from, the keeper, from the centre backs. We're really strong there. And then it's that final pass, that final bit of quality. It's just not there. But I think our strength in the wing backs with, Mbumo, Bruno, and Mazraoui or Dorgu on the other side, that's our strength, right? So yeah, I think that's where we're at right now. But the improvement I've seen is we haven't been a good team playing out from the back. I think we're much better in that regard. I think we're much better at progressing the ball from the midfield to the final third. I think that's the improvement. Now it's just that final third, which just isn't there. And it just doesn't seem natural because previously it's always been Bruno working the magic, working some magic. It's always been like moments. Now, like you can't, we know. Like, when was the last time we, finished in a respectable position in the Premier League? Right? It's been a while, so you can't just rely on moments. So that final third just needs to, just needs working on. I don't even have the answers for that. Like, if that's just like Sesko, because Hoyland had difficulties. Now I'm looking at Sesko. I'm like, you look like you're having difficulties. Cunha's different, right? He can produce something for himself. Um,
Same with Brian as well. He could produce anything out of nothing, and
and he played well.
yeah,
He was the best player
because
for our team.
when we texted, we are like, he gives a damn. He has like the weight of the shoulder. Like he wants to save Manchester United. He played like Bruno when Bruno came, you know,
Yeah.
5 years ago. Like I'm just gonna do it myself. Ahmad did, carried himself with stuff. I I've seen mixed results with Patrick. I think Patrick had an okay game. I felt that his final third passes in the first half were horrible, but then he picked it up in the second half, especially like that switch off. Like he got the ball, switch it off, and cross it into Brian, and then Brian make that, you know, just
That
one
volley.
timed it. Yeah,
Yeah.
volley, one time it, and Gigi made a game, not game winning, but save.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's good. But I
And he's
feel
20
like,
years old, so he's
right,
21. He's young. You're gonna get that from him,
right,
defensively and offensively. So yeah.
right. No, I totally agree. And that's why when we were talking with regards to our last episode with regards to transfers, I feel like, we need like true legit win backs. That's why I was talking to you about like Denzel on the right. And you know who would actually be really good? Davies from Bayern, but then his knees like ruined. You don't know what's gonna
Uh-oh.
happen after ACLs and stuff.
I mean, he wanted to go to Madrid. I don't think he.
Yeah, I know you don't want to come, but I'm just saying like that type of, if we wanted a veteran, right? Let's say we need a veteran person, that 20 something to 30 veteran presence go down the line, defend crosses, etc. Like that attacking presence. I feel like Davies would be a good type of player, like something to model. And I think Patrick can get there. He has the attributes. He has the physicality. Like he was like holding himself up to against like Dorgu. I'm not Dorgu. Doku. On that side at times because
Yeah.
I felt like he did okay with that. But yeah, I feel like it's just individual errors that's causing this thing. I don't feel like we're
Yeah.
playing bad. I don't feel like this team is like hopeless because I feel like teams of old were already down 2-0. It would have already been like 6-something, like 6-0, things of that nature, 7-up. The players would quit, but he's not. And I feel like that's like a mentality change and also to showing us that we are in a rebuild because many of the players are not here who lived those days, who are not on the pitch, etc. So, you know, that's what I feel like. Any last words, I guess, before we go on to the tactical board?
Yeah. No. Yeah. No. We can move on to the tactical board.
Okay. Yeah, so Ali here will now pull up the tactical board to go over some of the. Well, we didn't score goals, so we can't even say we show you how nice we scored a goal or whatever. But I think we will show like the breakdown of how we were set up, how we were defending, how we were progressing, and then showing the key highlights with regards to how we're giving up those goals. Because like we've said before, or what I've said is that basically in order to score a goal is you draw out the lit, find where shot is, and you go and attack him and creates like the gap. So let me give it to Ali to show us what we're doing with this. So we're in our traditional five in the back, three-ish in the middle, and two atop.
Yeah. So this is the goal that City scored, and you have Rodri in this space. You have Doku and Foden in these half spaces. And that just shows you the flexibility and the intelligence that these City players have. You also have Reinders very high up, right? And obviously, we want to talk about Man United and all these things, but you know, you got to also see what the other team is doing, right? And look, they got three of their centre backs down here. City in a very comfortable position. They've got Silva who's literally hugging this touchline, and that's creating this space, right? From because Dorgu has to go out there. Got this space here. Reinders is occupying that space, and Haaland is you know being like big hunk striker himself. So City are in a great position. Ball gets played to Doku. And Ugarte, he just does this jump, right? He's just like, I'm gonna try and, nick this ball off you and just, be aggressive. Obviously, that doesn't work out. And then what this does is this exposes Shaw in a one-on-one battle. Bruno can't do anything because that's on Ugarte's side. Doku does this, this great like shimmy feint, completely just bypasses him. And then what happens is, everyone comes back and Foden does this incredible thing. So Bruno's coming back and Foden does this like, I'm gonna go hit. Oh no, I'm gonna go behind you. And then, Bruno has no idea where Foden is. And by the time, Doku, kind of last ditch crosses this ball, it's into space and Foden finishes. That is exposing the weakness of Shaw, Bruno, and Ugarte. And it was Rodri, Doku, and Foden that exposed that. Shaw is not a left centre back. Bruno is not, he might be wearing number eight, but he's not a number eight. And Ugarte is just, I don't know, he's being too aggressive. not winning the ball, not, showing any physical presence against Doku. It's really good play from Doku. But those are your three, culprits for this goal. And, you know, that's Ruben Amorim's system, his players, mindset, call it what you like. The only solution I'm thinking in this situation is if you have Lissandro Martinez there, that's more aggressive. He's not available. You know, I would put. I don't want to see Shaw next game. He had the worst game. Okay, right. He normally has a bad game, but like he was basically culpable for all three goals. So I think that's an automatic bench for Chelsea. You put Aiden Heaven in there because at least, Heaven is young. So if he makes those mistakes, like it's okay. It's part of your development, right? Same. That's what I think of like Patrick Dorgu. Like it's part of your development. You're gonna improve, through mistakes. But sure, like it's just no excuses at this point. And I also like I'm not trying to slander him because he's not a left centre back. Like, yeah, he can play there, but that's because he just doesn't have the legs to play Patrick's position. But, you know, he's a left back by trade. So he's like he got caught square on, completely square when um Ugarte went past like sorry, when Doku went past Ahmad and Ugarte. Like when he has the ball here, Shaw is completely square and he's doing all his body movements are that of a left back in a left center back role. So got completely exposed there. That was the first goal. Any thoughts on the first goal?
Yeah, so I wanted to say was you talk about Shaw being exposed and stuff because he got bullied before the ball. Like Dorku bullied him, and then he lacked the physicality to stop him. Okay, fine. Doku goes down, then Patrick goes and gets him. But then it was just a lucky bounce back to Jeremy because he tried to cross the first time and hits Patrick's leg, comes back again, and then falls into that dead zone where you know it's in between Euro and Shaw, and Bruno stopped tracking back. So I felt like that was like you said, the gap in between the defense, and it's been showing this for like all four games now. Let's be real of these, you know, again, draw out the lit, find where Shaw is, and it leaves that gap of attacking. But then I wanted to challenge you with regards to you say Heaven. Why not do drop Shaw for Maguire, have Maguire play center back, right center back would be the lid, and then you're on the left center back.
I think so. This is kind of like this just goes back to me thinking that young players deserve a chance to improve. I think you put Maguire in that back line, he can't turn. So you're gonna get exposed to that. I think Heaven has got great. I think he's press resistant. I think he can pass the ball out well. He's very brave on the ball. He's tall as well. He's like 6'3", right? He's a unit and he's got more pace. I like Maguire. There's been a lot of things said about Ruben Amorim always substituting as one of his centre backs, right? I don't mind Maguire coming on later in the game, set pieces, whatever, whatever. But like I just prefer Heaven left footer in that left centre back role. And I think I go back to Chelsea playing their kids when they had a transfer ban. I think Lampard was there. Go back to Arteta playing, some of the kids there. And then once these kids start playing, you they perform well and they're learning from their mistakes. transfer value goes up, and just like it's just a better buzz around, someone that has the attributes to play in the first team, and there's, clearly a gaping hole in that position, and I'd rather just give that to a younger prospect. But yeah, I'd have no problems with, Maguire, Euro, and De Ligt.
So
That's
yeah, because my challenge to that is basically, can Amarin afford that? Unless there is like, you have an Mikel Arteta shield, um, leash, sorry, not shield, leash, in terms of, this season, as long as you make top eight, we're fine. Then, why not? But if you need to win, why, or how about another challenge in terms of if we need to win, you put back, Halal Ball member Mazraoui as the right center back, Delit in the middle, and then Euro on the left.
yeah, I'd prefer that. But like, what's Heaven done? He's not done anything disastrous. Like
I
when I
think
see
that I
him,
think I think most of the players on that Grimsley Town match has been
uh,
like blacklisted because I feel like, you know, there's one thing that I saw that, and it's been like almost all game, like for the past four games, and Heaven's mostly guilty was this. It's like I don't know why the ball is stuck under people's feet. Like Euro's trying to progress and the ball stuck under his feet. You know, the turnover with Ugarte and Shaw, the ball was stuck on their feet and they couldn't get out. I felt like with Heaven against Grimsley Town, I know it's pouring rain, whatever, but the ball was a lot stuck. And you see he was press resistant. He got exposed a little bit with that against Grimsley. They were pressing him and he wasn't handling it well. Yes, he got the ball out, right? Not like he was turning it over, but he was getting the ball out, but it's not clean or it's in the wrong position or it goes out. Like, so that's why I feel like the Grimsby Town players have been blacklisted so far, unless, there's an injury or whatever. But that's why it's like, I totally agree. Shaw cannot play. I've been calling that for Lyle, and you two have been talking about his vulnerabilities, and we need a better back line because you know what? To be fair, I feel like out of everything this whole summer that we needed, I didn't feel like we needed a center back. That's a next year's problem. I feel like our center backs in this back three are legit and can play the back three. And Euro Euro's still young, but it's not like he has like any bad games. I would say you pin goals on him. Delict, again, he's getting drawn out, so he's not like he's there to help to prevent the goal. He's not in the play. you know, Shaw has been the culprit there, but then there's nobody else to go after him to drop him. And I think that's the stubbornness of Ruben. So, but like again, I said, I don't feel like center backs is a weakness per se.
yeah, and it's weird saying that, right? Because we're playing five at the back and we leaked three goals, right? Um, Obviously context is massive here.
Right.
I completely understand and respect that, Heaven had a bad game against Grimsby, so, that's why he's got benched. I think it was a mentality thing, I've not seen him perform bad in the Prem. And I liked him when we saw him like in preseason. Again, that's preseason. Yeah, so yeah, maybe you don't play him against Chelsea, maybe you go play him against, Brentford or something else. But again, you're right. Ruben needs wins. Um, yeah, I just don't want to see Shaw in that position, and the only other left footer it would be Heaven.
We
But
gotta add Shaw to the bomb squad.
yeah, and you know what was quite funny? So when we were at MetLife, I don't know, I think it must have been in the first half, but there was a guy, he just like got out of his seat, this really loud American, and it was just like, go to Saudi Arabia, Luke. We don't want you. Go to Saudi Arabia. And I was just like, wow, it's quite funny. But yeah, I don't think, centre backs is, it's not on the shopping list, not really. And that's why I want to see Heaven play more because if he, emerges, that's a big issue resolved because he's a left footer. He's
Hmm.
got a little bit of pace, can play out of the back. He's got all the attributes to be a great center back. And dude, you look at like Saliba, man. Like, look at Saliba and Gabriel. Like, dude, that's a great partnership. And you need, I think De Ligt is solid. And then you're just I'm looking at Euro, he's solid, which is that last piece of the puzzle. Um, and then we have Leacher to come in, so not yeah, I wouldn't say centre backs are a worry. It's interesting because Harry Maguire's contract's up soon, so
Yeah, we
it's
can, we
like,
can we can extend him, but then they haven't decided just yet if they to
so
do
what
that
would
or
you
not.
do?
If he's okay not starting and coming off the bench, especially if we make Europe, you're that league, you're the cup defender, or if we're chasing a goal, you're the target forward. And if he's okay with that and can do it on like 120, 150, yeah, say 120 plus add-ons to make it like an even 150, I would do it.
Right, right,
I
yeah,
would
no,
do
I
it.
agree. Yeah, so are you saying you would give him a pay cut?
Yeah, you definitely have to give him a pay cut.
Okay, yeah.
I would definitely give him a pay cut. I think he's earned his money when he came over from Leicester for 80 mil. I think he did earn his money. I think now it's like, do you want to be a serviceman to this team? Because, props to him about like not leaving and earning back his spot. Fans belittled him about being a horrible center back
I mean,
and being slow and stuff, but then this back three helps him.
completely. Yeah, I think is if as long as Ruben's there, like he's
Yeah,
got a place
that's
in the
true.
team. If we go back to a back four, he needs to leave.
Right. Right.
Um, yeah, he can't play in a back four for Man United anyway.
Right.
But yeah, so this is the setup for the second goal. And you have Nico who like nutmegs Ugarte, which is just like so embarrassing. But anyway, so Nico, nutmegs, Ugarte, Foden then plays the round the corner to Doku, and Mazraoui is, he's trying to press, misses that, and then Doku, who's one of the best players in terms of rolling over a centre back, even someone as good as Euro, you know, Yoro's trying to be aggressive here. He's trying to be like touch tight, but Doku just like uses that low center of gravity he has, and then finds Haaland with a great pass. And this pass, once Haaland does this movement, I don't care if you're Leacher, Aiden Heaven, any like respectable centre back. Once Haaland's in a position where you play him into space and he's on side, he's scoring. But again, it just highlights the weakness of Ugarte getting exposed. Bruno's not doing anything. Mazraoui was a bit late, and it's the brilliance of Doku and the brilliance of Haaland. And that second goal was, it was well deserved because after that, City, they could have scored another goal. Haaland, hits the post. We were completely for about a good 10, 15 minutes, we were completely out of sorts. Um, And this all came from, a throw-in down here. So really just like I think it just shows, the class in these players, right? Because this kind of like round the corner, nice wing play, good weight of pass, great, chipped finish. Look at our team. Do you see Sesko scoring that? I don't. Do you see I can imagine, Bruno, playing this ball, and I can see, and Mbumo Cunha like linking it, but it's Haaland. He's so clinical. We don't have that in our team, and City have that in our team, and they've won, all the top trophies. That's the
So,
difference.
so I'm just going to disagree with you on 2 points. One, yes, you're right. Once that ball carries off on that foot with Holland, yes, he's gonna 9 out of 10 times score a goal because he's just got that power and the accuracy. But to be fair, Roy Keane was bitching about, you know, no yellow cards for yesterday. How can it be a derby with no yellow cards and stuff? I think Leacher would have at least made an attempt to slide to block the shot. He would have thrown his body. If he was the last man where Shaw was in positioning, he would have thrown his body, may have scored a goal because Holland could go over the top and shoot it top in, right? But I feel like he would have thrown his body. And I think that's the difference too between Luke Shaw and Leach or any other competent center back, even Delit. Delit, if he was in that position, Delit would have thrown his body, thrown a leg out. He would have extended himself. So that's, you know,
Well,
one.
yeah, I think Holland's like, dude, hi- his limbs, he's a big dude. Leach is not, yeah, you can, I think the way I remember it, he's just got his like arm, he's just holding off Luke Shaw. I don't
Right,
see Leach, like, even if you die for that, he chips it as well, right?
right,
The thing with Haaland is, and I think, saw a clip which what, Rudiger had said to, like an analyst. Rudiger said, if Haaland is running into space, it's over. No center back no center back has a chance when Haaland is running into space and is looking at the goal. What you want to do with Haaland is have him facing his own goal that way, because then, he's not that effective, right?
right, of turning.
So yeah, I don't see Licha, doing anything. Yeah, yeah, he's gonna do something different to Shaw, but for me, I think
Right.
Haaland is like incredible in at that. But it's just how you look at different players' strengths, right?
Right. And then the second point I wanted to make with that is regards to like Sesko had his own chance. He had the ball threaded to him in the box, but then his one touch took him away from the ball and he tried to make it up and it was not even like a effective shot, you know?
Yeah, and that's the difference between like Haaland doesn't even have a good touch, but he has a good enough touch to give him the best possible chance to score. Hoyland didn't have a bad first touch. Like sometimes he would, and then it's that finishing, right? So it's like composure, and you have literally like seconds. Ow, this is all happening at frightening pace. Like
Right.
Sesko has been slapped in the face by the English Premier League because it's just like the pace of it is just incredible. So, you know, yeah, Holland, no, Holland, he was focused. He was locked in. I don't like. I was talking to my City friend when I was watching this, and even my City friend was like, "Foden is locked up. He's locked in. He is locked in, and you could see that, in
He
that.
only shows up for this season. He just showed up. He's been on the bench. He doesn't really play. He just showed up for Derby. He wants to be the flat track bully. You know,
Holland,
no, Foden. This
yeah.
is
Well,
this is his like cup final. Like this is his cup final showing up and playing in the Derby because he is born and raised there. So it's
yeah,
like
yeah. But like, he still showed up. Like, when I mean, Manu had some good minutes when he came on, and had some great, great plays, some great like press resistant play, and Manu's from there as well. Okay, yeah, it's different context, but
right.
like this all factors into a derby, right? Like when you have players from the area, it means more. So like I'm not discrediting him for that. Like that
No,
you still have
I
to have quality to do that.
no, I'm just discrediting him in terms of like bro has been trash for like over like I think this calendar year he's been
Yeah.
trash,
Yeah.
right? He gets a pass because you know how the British press is. with that because if this is Rashford, we'll never hear the end of it. Well, Rashford was that, and we
Yeah.
never heard the end of it. You know, Phil Foden gets a pass because he's the poster boy of you know bring out back our country, that type of nonsense. So
Far
it's
right
like,
wing.
huh?
Ah, never mind
Yeah, I have the song stuck in my head.
him. Yeah, but
So it's like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it's like he's been trash, and it's like he shows up for this match, he scores a goal, and then now we're not going to hear for him till the end of this, till the return match, to the reverse fixture. We're going to hear him.
Yeah, I don't know. There was just something about Foden's, like he just seemed locked in. I think it's a World Cup year, so I think he's
Right.
gonna try his best, and then he's gonna have a. I think if he has a good season, he's gonna have a great season, and then he's gonna mess everything up for England, like just his normal cycle, you know.
Right.
And I told my Man City fan, friend, I was just like, yeah, I'd pick Anthony Gordon over Foden. I'd pick Saka over Foden. Like that's not even a contest. And
And this is why they're American.
like yeah. And he was just like, that's crazy. And he has a Foden jersey, so yeah. Like so this example was what I was referring to in terms of our strength, right?
Mhm.
This was Mizraoui. He had a throw in. I'm tr I'm trying to remember. Right. Yeah, this was like a chance when we got in behind. So Mizraoui takes a throw in. It's really tight all around here. Like there's like a few players. I think Foden's on Bruno. Um, ball gets played out from Bruno to Mbumo, and Nico is touch tight to him. Gets played back into Bruno. So this triangle is working. And as soon as it gets played back to Bruno and Bumo's in behind, Bruno plays a great ball down to Mbumo. And then this is where like decision making is just decision making and execution is poor because this is the next clip where Mbumo is, side of the box and you've got Dorgo in all this space. Can you have that quality and hit Ahmad? That's a harder ball. But I've seen Mbumo do that. He opts in for the cross. Sesko's at the top of the box. He is running and he's trying to get out there. And, he's already surpassed Nico and Rodri. I mean, Nico got turned by Mbumo, so that's why that happened. But like the quality and the execution here, gets leaded out and then, you know, gets cleared, right? But this is a, 4v4 situation. Like, count from here to here, it's essentially like man to man. So you need to make these moments count, and they didn't. The positive is Mazraoui, Bruno, and Mbumo linking up. And it's not just, luck in terms of how we're getting there. These players have improved in this regard. They know these one-touch passes around the corners and Boomer running into space, causing Gavadio, Diaz, and Kusanov to like come out here because Silva's like he's here at the top of the box and the system is catered towards one of the wingbacks acting as an additional attacker. So Ruben's plan is working. The players aren't executing it. That's chemistry, lack of quality, decision making, all these things. So that's just an example where I was just like, they are improving. We're just not there yet. And the players have to help Ruben out. Like, come on, you gotta
No,
up your quality.
I totally agree. And also, too, this was also another point we were talking about when we started and talk about we need to have more people in the box, especially, going down towards the end lines, having people within the by where the penalty spot is and, the goalkeeper's box, and then at the top as well. So,
Yeah. And funny you mentioned having people in the box. That's exactly what we started to do. We're 2-0 down. In this example, the ball's like the ball was around here. Bruno was around here, and then once he plays it to Ugarte, he obviously knows it's getting played to the left. Shaw makes this overlap, gives Dorgu this, half space, and on his right foot, crosses it in. Bruno's made his way into the box, and Bumo hits a volley. Great save. But that's the example of having players in the box, and you're it's just like statistics, isn't it? You have more players in the box, you got more chance of scoring. In this example, yeah, we have, one of the center backs making an overload, which is great. And again, your wing back is key. And look at the other wing back acting as that additional attacker. So, it's a good example. Again, we're not clinical enough. Like, need to raise that quality. That's the difference between other teams in the Premier League, like Manchester City. They have these players that can put the ball in the back of the net. But in terms of creating the chances, like we're there, right? We are there. Just how much time is Ruben and these players gonna get? That's just like we're at that stage now.
right. And then also what was funny too was like another play was where Patrick has the ball and it's coming down onto the line, right? And we had Sesko and Bueno attacking the goal, and he crosses it correctly. I would have done that, right? But then City had the defenders back and clogged up the line. But at that point, you had Bruno trailing at the top of the box, and maybe a ball to him, maybe it'd been a goal or so, or it could have been sky high because that's Bruno's MO these days. But I feel like, yes, you know, in order for Ruben to be successful in his system, he needs to have progressive attacking wing backs. We have It's quite funny, guys. Ahmad is 25, but we consider him a youngster just because, he hasn't been in this team for so long, because he went on a couple of loans, injuries, Ten Hag had a personal vendetta against him. Now, he's in the squad, gets to play, and now we're seeing his true talents. But I feel like, yes, we have two young center backs, two young wing backs that, can carry the ball forward, can cross. It's just the lack of quality of the crosses in the right time, or we just don't have men in the box. And I feel like we are getting there. And if there's not anything else, we can go into the stats because what we were saying, everything you're saying is true because the stats show it. But again, like we said last podcast, last episode, it was like stats do not equal 3 points, and that's what matters at the end of the day. But there is hope for this team, and the stats show it, and it is quite, you know, glaring of like there is progress on this team. So let me just pull this up.
And yeah, just I didn't cover the third goal because the third goal is just us trying to chase, which we were chasing the result. So, it was just bad passing, bad decision making. And again, Haaland's in his own half. Yeah, that's it's just yeah, whatever goal really.
Pretty much. Sorry, I just want to make sure that I am so you can see where they're third, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So here I'm on Opta analysis, looking at all the stats. So I think we should just start off with Manchester United as a whole. Okay, we're talking about the team as a whole from attacking. So here I have the attacking non-penalty because I feel like penalty is like a little bit overdoing. So as you can see, we've only scored 3 goals, but our XG is supposed to be around six, about 7 goals, but let's say six, right? We're doing a -3 on goals versus expected goals, right? This just shows it's not it. The system can't score goals. The system is there to create chances to score goals. The system is there to help put you in a spot to score more goals than you're giving up, right? Bruno said that in his spiel yesterday, post game stuff. Is like we need to score more goals, concede less, right? Or outscore, whatever you want to say. The system is there. We've created, and I'm going to filter by shots. We've done 68 shots as a team. The next best team is Chelsea and Liverpool at 59. Everyone's new manager that they want in the league of Areola at Bournemouth has 56 shots, right? So if the system is there to create shots and goals, well, Ruben's system is creating the most shot in the Premier League in 4 games. Shots on target, we have 17 shots on target compared to Chelsea with 21, Liverpool at 20, West Ham with 19. But now here's where we're talking about the lack of quality on the team, whether because of, we have 3 new attacking players, everyone's still trying to vibe and gel. We've only converted 4%. And that's the last, that's what, 18, 19, yeah, 18th out of the 20 teams in the Premier League.
And Villa haven't even scored a goal.
And Villa hasn't even scored a goal. Correct. And Leeds is there at the bottom as
Yeah.
well. So, expected goals per shot, we're like mid-table, 0.010, where Man City has 0.17. So in terms of attacking, we are creating chances. What more can we do other than it's on the players of converting those chances? Because Cunha hit like what, 3 shots against Fulham, and that hit the woodwork, went off wide, etc. So it's there. Now in terms of passing, right? This is actually quite shocking. You know, for the final third pass, we're 76% in the final third in passing. And of course, the teams who are ahead of us in percentages wise is Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea. I do not know what to say with regards to that. In terms of our final third, we are in the box. We're making stuff. We're making passes. We have 75% there, and we're not scoring goals. Now, as I'm filtering through this, Ollie, let me know, this has to be the players, not the system, but players.
Yeah, I think this is the players from an attacking output, but you would say the system defensively, that two man in the midfield is just, yeah,
Right.
I don't like that two-man midfield. I think there was something on SDS spot or something, which is like, what two players would you have in this current like state of the Premier League or even in world football to play the system? And it was like Caicedo, Rice, like 100 million plus players that have
Yeah.
proven it. Like Baleba hasn't proven it, and he's still going to cost that same amount. So it's just like.
Well,
Yeah, that's the system. Attacking wise,
Casino wasn't proven as well when he went to Chelsea. Like he could do it, but it wasn't like he wasn't like Conte. Like Conte won the Premier League, You know what he had quality, you know, and he went.
I don't.
Casino did struggle a couple years to justify that fee. Now he looks like he's coming in his own in Enzo's system, in
Yeah,
my opinion.
I think he's done more than Baleba has done. Um, and I think when he first moved to Chelsea, I think it was just high profile mistakes, but for the most part, like he was, decent. Um, yeah, I actually just don't think he gets enough credit. I think everyone talks about Rice, and I think Rice is one of the best midfielders out there. So, um, yeah, so you need those two in your midfield, so- which we don't have. And we spent a lot of money on Ugarte, which
Right.
just makes sense. Like he used to play the system, and the only thing I can talk it down to is he's just not next to somebody else. Does he need to be next to someone else that's more like an eight? Can that help him? And then what do you do with Bruno? Because I don't even like Bruno in that left 10 role. So
You don't like him or you do like
I
him?
don't, not really.
Yeah.
I think Mount's better in that position.
Right.
So it's just like, but then we got no one in the midfield that could distribute like Bruno. But I thought Manu had he had a good sort of, cameo.
Yeah. Now we're gonna go to the pressing because this is what everyone says. This is an improvement. I was shocked to find out where, pressing sequences is like 11 and a half. And like I said, everyone's favorite coach or new manager for Man United at Bournemouth is at 12.25. So we are pressing. We're there in the pressing in terms of press sequences and distance, etc. But then here's where it falls apart. Sorry, let me get off per match. So we've pressed about 26 times in these 4 games total. But we have zero shots. It doesn't lead to any shots or any goals. We're in the bottom of that. Us and Nottingham Forest. So, and I think also too, this is also where it comes to like where we talked about that kill zone last episode with regards to, we're killing them off from when the opposition is coming out of their side, and at the halfway line, we were causing turnovers. And because of Mount pressing, Cunha, they were all in sync when on that top line. They were turning over, but then it's like the shots are not coming out because we were relying on one person to do magical stuff. Like, you know, Mount gets the ball on his leg, spins around, sees Cunha, and then shoots and then misses. Things of that nature where we're pressing. Um, I think for this one, in terms of sequences, we in the middle of the pack in terms of 10 plus passes. I think this is misleading because I feel like we've done a lot more with that. Like I felt like we were lower in terms of like, can we string 10 passes together and progress the ball? I feel like this is a little bit misleading because I feel like we're better than what the number says. And we're
What
like
do
in
you
the
mean
middle.
by what do you mean by better? Do you mean like higher?
Yeah, higher, like in terms of like we could barely under Ten Hag, we were barely, progressing the ball out of the back.
Right. Yeah, I
We're
agree.
struggling with that. That's when we brought in Onana, it's like, why are we not doing it? Because we all got gaslit by that, his kicking ability at Inter, and it went to chugging long balls. Because I felt like we are better than this. I feel like this is different, but I feel like where it falls off again, it's like we have a total of 11 build-ups, 0 goals. Direct attacks, 8 total, 0 goals. And the teams that are better is like, again, Bournemouth, our new manager from Bournemouth, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. Like,
If Areola, whatever his name is, if he could bring Semenyo, that'd be great. I really rate Semenyo. I would love him at United.
yeah, I think it's coming.
Yeah.
I think it's coming because
If
I
you
think
could
we
bring,
do.
if you could also bring
Yeah,
your ex or your that the guys that went to PSG and Real Madrid. I know that's not gonna happen,
yeah.
but that'd be great too.
I think defensively, we'll just leave the defensive part because I feel like a lot of actually, I'll bring up 2 points where it's like shots in the box is 78%, goals in the box is 100%. That needs to change. And I feel like they're getting the chances because of the individual errors.
So this is where I'm at. Individual errors, system, hand in hand. In my opinion, what's your take?
I just look at it the context of the goals, right? Because I look at everything like not like I look at everything from the big picture and everything of that nature, right? Because I felt like last year, right, the whole line will just break down, right? We would play high up, they get the through ball back, nobody goes back and covers it, you know, goal. Or like every goal is given up is like Luke Shaw, where someone gets drawn out, ball through the back or pass or ball through in for a goal, right? But I felt like it was not one individual player or center back. It was like everyone
Yes. Okay.
on the back five.
Yeah.
That's what I felt like is light and day. It's like, Euro, Delit, our wing backs are playing to their best ability, but then it's like the defensive midfielders or the midfielders not tracking back because we've seen this under Ten Hag. Casemiro will not be tracked back. When Ericsson was playing in the eight, he doesn't track back, and it would just leave the gap. So I feel like that is still there, but I feel like when we look consistently, it's like we're not giving up. Also, too, what's also changed too is that other than the City game, I don't think we've ever been trailing. Like we've scored first, and then the other teams have scored.
Arsenal only
Also,
needed
but
one.
Arsenal's
Yeah.
different because Arsenal doesn't score from an open play. Like that
Yeah.
was just like set piece FC.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. We
yeah,
we we played better in that game.
right.
So what I'm hearing from you, you would, so you think Ruben's system will work if the correct personnel was put into the system? You
Correct.
think his system is going to work in the English Premier League with the correct personnel?
Correct personnel, and I feel like I don't know why he has abandoned the 4-4-2 pressing system, or like when we're coming back, when the opposition has the ball and going in from top half to the attacking side to our top of our box. Like it used to be in preseason what we saw was like 4-4-2, right? Or then like comes into 5-4-1 or 5-3-2. I feel like he needs to go back to that to make it to be successful because I feel like just having your six and eights in the back is not going to work because that leaves us not too much space under Ten Hag in the 4-2-3-1, but it just leaves those gaps where it's like someone like again the leg gets drawn out, ball feds through over the top or whatever, you know, Euro and Shaw can't come and get it, or in your twos are not tracking back and you get it into goal. Because it's like the goal when we were preseason against West Ham. We saw Ugarte and Menu struggling to track back. I think what was it? Jared Bowen got
Yeah.
that goal, and it was because of space between the center. They did West Ham dragged the center backs back to the goal. And Ugarte and Menu were trying to catch up, so it was a gap between your two defensive midfielders, your center backs, and there was space in between. I feel like that needs to change, but you need the personnel for it. And I feel like because of injuries, favoritism, I guess, if you want to say, why is Bruno playing all the time or whatever, you know, whatever it may be. I think it's like it's just the right personnel in order to be successful. So I think those are everything I wanted to say with regards to that. Um, yeah, like this is what we're talking about. Errors led to shots, five. Errors led to go, three. And we've given up, I think, seven goals. So I think that's where it's like that needs to change.
I think you need to measure the system equally in defending and attacking. Um, you can say individual errors for the goals that are being led in, and you can say not being clinical in front of goal, right?
Right.
So yeah, you just gotta look at it.
And I feel like yes, it is this. I feel like a lot of the talk against other tactical content with regards to United is that everything seems disjointed, that we cannot progress the ball out of the back. And I feel like the stats and how we've played disproves that. I feel like that's just them being
Yeah.
like clickbait,
Yeah, I
just to
disagree with that
to to
wholeheartedly.
to
Yeah.
trash United. I feel like the stats aren't there, and just from us watching it, that's not true. I think that we just need that athletic midfielder, like I've said, with maybe Manu drops, benches Bruno, or if Carlos had came in, he would have benched Bruno because you need that progressive midfielder who can do it all. Or like that, what I keep saying is like I don't think Case and Ugarte can do it, but if you had a better, younger, technically better, athletic center defense midfield who can be that one person that sits in front of your three in the back, then that's fine if that person can cover it. I just don't know who that player is right now and who's really realistically able to attend. But I feel like, yes, these accounts are right in terms of the midfield is disjointed, but that's just a recruitment issue. That's not like a system issue because we don't think we have the personnel to do it. Because then let me ask you this question. Would you play Case and Ugarte in two?
No, never.
Because we have no legs to cover it.
Yeah, I actually in in a weird world, like I actually think Casemiro, it's gonna sound weird. I think Casemiro is a great, I think he'd be a lot better further up the pitch because I genuinely think the way he can distribute the ball is great. I think he's better than Mainu. I think he's better than Ugarte. He's just a couple of levels below Bruno. I trust his, distribution. He just doesn't have the legs, and I'm not gonna pin that on him. That's why he didn't play in the derby because
Right.
Ugarte has the legs, but Ugarte can't really distribute. I mean, he did have a couple of good balls, but Cass can hit these amazing round the corners, one timers, and you know, um, yeah, yeah, chalk it up to a personnel issue. But I think system wise, I actually think the way we play is like in terms of build up is probably the best in a while. Um yeah, like it was dark under Ten Hag.
I think Ten Hag first season was good in
The
terms of
first
build
yeah,
up.
the first season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it got disjointed as it goes along because of, whatever issues, recruitment, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. But that first season, Casemiro was like
Right. And who knew he could score so many goals?
yeah, yeah.
Like Ten Hag made him into a goal threat. I was like, who is this? Like, because when you look at his Madrid stats, it's like he's not expected to score and whatever. And then he just
No.
got unlocked and unleashed and then stuff. And also too, I'm not gonna deny, like, I don't care what anybody says, we may hit spend 70 million for him and we may be stuck with him, but we recouped that money when we got into Champions League the following season.
Yeah,
like
he got
just
us there.
from
He
yeah.
got us there.
So
Yeah.
so let all the haters, hate us for who we are. So now we're going back to the zones of control. We've showed this on the last episode. I think, we just wanted to show of like we are good in our own half, except for I think as you showed in our tactical board, you know, Jeremy just like destroyed us on this side. That's why this the left hand side, the corner there, he definitely got into that box behind the wing backs and just balled out from there. So I think that was there. And then also too, I think we allowed City to play their part to progress the ball from their half to us. That's why the lack of Cunha, the lack of Mount pressing, that's why kind of like the dominance dropped down. But as you can see, what we've been saying before, we can get the ball out of the box. We can use our wing backs because that's where it shows that we're doing it. Like this is the system in like numbers, not on a tactical board, not anywhere else. This is where the system is of progressing from the ball from the back and going in to the wing backs. As you can see, we're losing the battle in the box and in the middle of the pitch because of the lack of pressing this last match
And where do you score your goals?
in the box.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And what are we lacking?
Goals
Yeah.
and 3 points.
Yes.
So was like, so now I'm going to go into like some individual players that we want to highlight in terms of the system and in terms of what's going on. Want to go on with regards to the system. And I was thinking a lot of the times with regards to what aspect we should look at in terms of whether it be the touch, the heat, the pass. But I feel like the heat map is a good sense of where the players are positioned and where they're hanging out, I would say. So, yes, for Bruno, yes, he's hanging out a lot at the top of the box. I'm not top of the box, but the midfield line, because I think that's where we got pinned back and that's where we were struggling not to progress out, but that's where he was just like hanging out all the time. Then in the second half, I'm just going to switch to the second half. Now you can see, he's in his favorite left corner, that side of the pitch to do the touches and to do some of the crosses. But yes, he's not in the box here. And I know I've seen what's it called? The overlap content on Twitter where one of their tacticians were like, any system that relies on win backs to be in the box, and I'll show you Patrick and Bueno in a few, but it's like if anybody is not if your wing backs are more in the box than your best goal scorer in Bruno, then that system will fail. And I think I kind of disagree with that because we're not asking Bruno to be the savior anymore because of Cunha and Bueno. But yes, Cunha was not in the match, so I was actually expecting um, Mainu to start in the mid two, then having Bruno in his left 10 spot, which and now I know that you don't like Ali. So now we get to know, how it is. But, that being said, I feel like now in this situation, we have to live the fact that if he's not going to play in the 10, he's going to be up here. And he does play well here. He has done it when we've been chasing teams, chasing goals. He likes to sit out here, crosses boxes in here for goal scoring. So I don't know what's changed now in terms of the narrative.
Yeah, I just prefer I think I prefer Mount in that position and Cunha in that position. Looking at Ahmad, I don't like Ahmad in that position. He didn't really have the best of games. But like yeah, I mean it's just one game, but I just don't see I for me, Mainu can't control a game like Bruno can in that midfield. I don't
Right.
think any other player. I think the closest player that could control a game like Bruno is Casemiro. So like going back to your point, Casemiro, Ugarte, like, like, oh God, we just have such a bad midfield, man.
Right.
It's incredible.
And then, now I'm going to just go, moving along to Patrick Dorgu. Again, look, touches, he's literally on the wing, doing a lot of stuff. And there you go. He was in the box. He had two touches in the box, right next in the goalie's area. So we can see that there's, he's having his touches, he's doing his crosses. Because if I do the crosses, or a chance created at this point, he created three chances. That's not bad. Asking your wing back, and he's 20, and I think the more as he gets more used to the Premier League, because he's been here less than a year. Let's be real, less than one season,
Yeah,
and
great player.
he's trying to ball out.
Yeah.
Next with Ahmad, same thing. He played in that left hand 10 spot. But then when he switched up into, because like that's the first half, he's pretty much on this side, not really doing anything. Second half, he goes into his wing back position, balls out. He gets his touches. He's doing, what he has to do and getting in. So I feel like, the system is there. You just have to put in the players into the right spot. And I feel like with one game a week, you Ruben should not be like, what's it called? Mixing and matching or whatever. It's like you have your players, you have your depth, just plug it in there. Like if Embueno is out or needs a rest, you fine put Ahmad in that right 10, but he should be a wing back, right wing
Yes.
back.
Yeah. Right wing back or right attacking midfield.
Correct.
Like I don't want to see him in that left. Like you're thinking, can you put Bruno there and then can you put Mazraoui in the midfield next to Mainu? Well, we haven't even seen that. Um, the other thing is touching on that one game a week. I mean, you want to go through some more players first?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can talk
okay,
through
yeah.
it. It's fine.
Well, I wanted to talk about the Chelsea preview, so we can you can go through your players and then
Yeah.
we,
So basically, then here with regards to with Brian, again, dominating this right hand side. But you know what I see is that he's still hanging around here a lot at the top of the box on the right hand side because I know he likes to sit there and do crosses. But I feel like he's shown enough that he deserves more chances in the box. And he has, you could see a couple of touches on the end line. There's one touch right here for the goal. So he just needs, I think, yes, when you're chasing a game, fine, stay there. But I think to be more attacking direct, to set the precedent, to set the tone, he should be in the box more compared to being on the top.
but your striker needs to,
Well,
link
we're
play and.
that's where we're going, and this is the concerning part. There's no touches in the box.
Yeah, it's
A lot of the touches are here between the halfway line and the top of the box because those are kick-ins from long kicks from the goalkeeper. And I have that here because I thought that was funny because it shows, these are all the completed passes from Bindier. You know, he did total passes of 33, 18 were successful. He had like 55% accuracy. But some of these long balls that you see here that are successful, that's what we're doing. We were literally like long ball FC for the game of like kicking the ball out, having him flick on. But that doesn't lead to any chances of him, flicking the ball to one of our players and then progressing forward, track going into the box and getting us something in. And I feel like this needs to improve in order for us to be successful for his end and for our end as well. And then so I did, yeah, and just a couple more players. I just wanted to show with regards to Kobe, not focusing on his heat map because we know where he came out, but the passes that he's done 18 passes, 18 were successful. That just shows he came out with intent and he progressed with the ball and he came out. And he tried to ball out because like in his heat map, I'm just gonna show for context purposes, you know, he's like all over the place. No real consistency other than the halfway line.
I think
Any
with Kobe, it's what I noticed was like he was very, he was showing his press resistance, like the ability to turn and move. It was great to see. Like he did a little nutmeg, progress the ball. Um, I was impressed when Kobe came on. It was really nice to see, you know, him play. So just kind of like, can he start,
any start? And then yeah, and then finally I would just want to show with Luke Shaw, he got back into his little touch area happiness here where we were chasing the game, hugging the line, being his little left back, crossing balls in. But it just showed of like the goals that he gave up, you know, he did drag to the center of the pitch because he has touches here in the center of the pitch. He has touches where, where we showed where he was giving up the goals. And I felt like, that is, not his strong suit and definitely deserved to be benched. So I think those were just some of the players I wanted to show with regards to the heat map and where they're positioning for this game. Lastly, maybe just Ugarte for 1 second, all over the place, definitely trying to be a fortress in front of the center backs, but, not really successful in terms of having high touches or trying to do the progressive balls. Because when, we see high, it's like, 3 touches or 2 touches. So that's pretty much it I wanted to show with regards to the stats and with regards to taking the context of what Ali has showed with regards to the tactical board and how is it translating into, stats. Like I feel like, baseball has gone to sabermetrics and everything is about the stats and, the nerds are running the game. And I feel like soccer has been that, but it's not been mainstream in terms of tacticians, unless you play like Football Manager or really love tactics. So I feel like these are good context in terms of what the players are doing, what we're trying to do is showing you the tactical points, and then how does that relate to stats and shows the message that the system is creating chances. It may be wonky in terms of the goals given up, etc. But the system is there creating chances, progressing from the back. It's just the lack of the final third. So any other comments? I think we can now just jump into like what would we change before we just finish up with the controversy between our progression from the back and Pep's because that's a big heat on Twitter as well. So I think from my end, in terms of Chelsea, I would put in Casemiro for Ugarte. Put if Cunha can't play, put Bruno and the left hand Kobe in the 8, and then drop Shaw for Mazraoui. Put Maz as the right center back, the lid in the middle, Euro on the left, Dorgu wing back, Ahmad wing back. Sesko needs to start. Like I said before, he's gonna sub during before international break and after international break, he's gonna start. So he's gonna start from now on, I think. Though that being said, I can see Xerxes starting if he's fit, because he does give you that like deep lying forward, get everyone up, and you could hit Chelsea like that. Because Chelsea is kind of disjointed a little bit in the back because they're not too solid as well. But that would be my lineup, to be honest with you. Everything but those changes from City.
Well, what's your lineup? Go from the keeper to
Uh, so I'm just gonna. This is from last week's, but basically you'd be dropping Shaw for Maz, right? Ugarte, Cat. So it'd be Sesko, Bueno, Bruno, Patrick, Ahmad, Casemiro, Kobe, Dillet, Euro, and like I said, Mazraoui here.
okay. Yeah, I would have Bayındır. I'd have the same back three you have. I'd have Maz, De Ligt, Euro, Ahmad right, Dorgu left, Sesko up front. I'd go Xerxes left attacking mid, Ahmad right. No, Mbumo right attacking mid. Then I would go Bruno. Then I would play. I'm trying to think. It's Casemiro or Ugarte, one of them.
Has to be Cass.
I just it's just like Chelsea. You got to look at Chelsea and like Enzo and Caicedo will just like run that midfield. So I'm just like,
Also, we need Casemiro to whenever Garnacho comes on to like fling him into the freaking sidelines,
oh
into the
man, they got so gassed when they thought they'd won that game, and
well,
then
I
and
told
it
him
was Garnacho's fault. He lost his
yeah, and
man.
he lost his man. I was like,
He's
no,
sleeping,
no.
man.
I've been
He's
telling my Chelsea friends no refunds. Then one of my friends had the cheeky response of saying that we'll buy an injured Chelsea player for 60 mil. So then it would be even. And I was like, probably
I mean,
right.
we bought Mason Mount for
I told him it's
50.
gonna be Fofana. We're gonna need a center back and it's gonna be Fofana.
But yeah, I would put Xerxes in, and then um, I think that'll help with the link up play because it's that final ball, and that's what we're
Mhm.
missing. So I'd like to have him in there. Let's try and play counter attack. Let's get Sesko running. Like, okay, yeah, it's great crossing the ball in, but he's not like Andy Carroll. Like he hasn't got a bunch of like, heading goal reels.
Right,
Yeah, he can score with his head, but like he's also mad quick.
right.
And like he's apparently supposed to got like a power, like a hell of a power shot. So like let's get him running in behind. That's what I want to see from Sesko.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So, last thing I wanted to share, and this has been a controversy for months now with regards to like EBL Twitter account, the toxicology of like hating on Ruben's progression from the back, right? And I set it up like this with regards to Bindier in what Ruben wants to do of like having this delete inverted into the midfield or at the top of the box, along with the midfielder to take the ball, right? And how, no system can be successful with this. This is not going to help United. So basically, what the setup is usually Shaw, Euro alongside Bindier. Delit will go alongside midfielder. So a lot of it was in City's game was with Bruno instead of Ugarte. In other games, it's been Case when Casemiro plays. It's usually with Case and Delit, and then it's like one player here, four, and your striker at top. We've talked about it in the past. This is how we set it up. Fine. So there was one play around like the 15th minute where Bindier gets a pass to Delit. Delit's getting pressed by City, but then he always has the time, not the time, but he has the technical ability to make the password out to Euro or to whoever's the wing back here and progresses the ball out. So far, no, that's not an error that's led to a goal or anything like that. And this is where the bias of these accounts are. It's like this setup, we're getting the ball out. We're not conceding goals from this. I have not seen a goal come out from the back here where Delit has the ball and throws it and passes it out, right? A lot of people say this is not going to work. No system is going to work with an inverted center back. Fine. No goal so far. Now, on the flip side, Pep sets up similarly as well, but of course he's only playing with two center backs. So his center backs are not inverting, but he's inverting a attacking midfielder to come up and get the ball. And this is problematic because, like, tell me if I'm wrong. When you see the same thing of like, okay, you have your two people next to your goalie, right? You have two people in front of your goalie. You have your wing backs or this here sent your backs, your wing backs, your left back, your right back, and then whatever in front, right? They've given up one goal like this with against Spurs where Trafford makes a pass to Nico Gonzalez. He was here playing for Rodri. He gets automatically pressed, turnovers the ball, and Spurs scores a goal. There's another time where the press again, ball goes, Trafford passes the ball to Rodri, back to the center back, then tries to play back out, and turns over, and it was almost a goal as well. So I'm trying to be objective here. What's the difference in the setup if you're inverting an attacking midfielder up here to take the ball versus a center back? It's the same setup in my eyes. I view it. He is coming. He had Rangers come up for it. I feel like if you're telling me inverting a center back versus inverting an attacking midfielder to come get the ball, one system is problematic, but you're not going to say the other. What's the deal? Because in my mind, this is the same setup, just different personnel, but it's the same setup to progress the ball out. You know, oh, I see a lot of City. City does not do the turn that the defensive midfielder gets it and it turns out to uh, left back or right back or checks back to the center backs that's there and then progresses the ball out or kicks it out. They get pressed and that turns over a few times. Wow, the damning Rubin system is the same thing, just with Delit. And so far, he's been pressed. It's been ugly, but he has the technical ability to get the ball out, and it has not led to a goal. And this is why I'm tired of the seeing the bias of these Twitter accounts that tend to be tacticians and say, this is detrimental when other teams are doing the same setup. Like this is the modern setup, having somebody coming up, playing right along your midfielder, whether it be a center back, attacking midfielder, whoever, it's the same tactical setup to bring the ball out. And one gets scrutinized, the other doesn't. And I'm just trying to figure out why. It's the same thing, same play, or not same play for real, but same progression, same idea of like ball logic to get the ball out. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think the way we progress the ball from the back is the best we've ever progressed the ball, if I'm going to be honest. I think this is the most effective this season that we've been able to do this. I think the players know the roles. We got the bounce pass, we got the around the corners, touches. I don't think that's an improvement, if anything. Yeah, I don't think that's a detriment to our team. That's not how we're conceding goals. Um,
No,
maybe last season, we couldn't play out the back last season. The players just were confused last season. And the only thing I'll say on that is, yeah, it's taken them a while, preseason and all this, to kind of understand the system. Like I think I've mentioned this already. Like coaches have gotten better results in shorter amount of times, but we're here in the here and now, and yeah, we can play out the back. That's not an issue with this team. Issues in the in the other end, we
right,
can't. It's
right.
the
And I think
creativity
that's
in
been
in
the,
there.
the problem for the past couple of seasons. But yeah, that's what I want to touch about because, City did it to come out. We did it too. I mean, this game, no goals were conceded like that, but City has given up goals like this. We haven't. Let's be fair. Let's be real about the tacticians. I think both Ollie and I agree that it's not necessarily the system. It's a hand in hand with the players and some parts of the system. But all this noise on Twitter, other social medias, all the clickbait of like the sky is falling, I don't think that's true. It's not showing up on the points side, which matters, and we're not trying to disconnect that. But I feel like it's not, you know, hell's frozen over, we're gonna get relegated at this point. I feel like it will turn around once we start getting into a rhythm and players are healthy.
Yeah, I think on that this week against Chelsea, if we're talking about one game a week, Chelsea are in the Champions League. This game, it's at Old Trafford. They have to be on top of them. Like they need to be running more, and then the intensity needs to be there. Nothing less than a win against this Chelsea team is acceptable. Especially, we keep saying one game a week. Ruben's like, yeah, it'd be good to have one game a week. All this, like, this is where it's gonna count.
Right.
And the players know what they need to do, and I've got no doubt that Old Trafford's gonna be rocking. Um, it's just if we concede a goal from a mistake, our system kind of falls apart. Gary Neville did a piece where he was talking about how we're compact with the five at the back and then the two in front when we're going all right, but as soon as we concede and we have to chase the game, the two midfielders get exposed because now they're left on an island of their own, and that five is just more spread out because we're trying to press and we're trying to chase the game, so it's less compact. Then we get exposed so much from those midfield two. So it's really the players understanding the game, understanding the situation that they're in. But yeah, Chelsea, I don't know when they play on a Tuesday on a Wednesday, but we need to be all over them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally agree. So, that's the end of this recap of Man City's win over United 3-0. If you like the video again, please like, subscribe, drop us a comment, and we'll be back next week to do Chelsea. Hopefully we get 3 points against them and we can justify what we've been talking about for the past, I don't know how long we've been taping, but, it was a pleasure, Ali.
Yeah, always.
All right, have a good one, everyone.